Hey YouTube, Charlie here with Cast Fishing. Coming at you with the video about how I made the casting deck for the Pelican Bass Raider 10E. I'm going to kind of walk through how I made it, give you the measurements. I'm also going to put a downloadable link in the measurements, or in the description, that has the measurements that you can follow along if you'd like to build this. Also in the description, I'm going to put links to some of the various items that I use for this build, and that way y'all have access to that. Hey, and if y'all like this video, I appreciate it. You can hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Casting deck unscrewed from the boat. I flipped it over. That way y'all can kind of see what's going on underneath. If y'all would, go ahead and download this link that's in the description. That'll pull up this sheet here. This will give you an idea of what I'm talking about here, and also through the measurements. So basically the main components of this is the casting deck itself, which I made out of 3/4 inch plywood, and the dimensions on that are 31 inches by 44. And then the frame is the next major component of this. It consists of 5 parts. You got your 2 side pieces here. These are 29 inches, and then the 3 cross supports are 26 and 1/4 inch across. And these I actually trimmed down using a table saw. I trimmed them down to, let's see, 1 3/4 inch tall. So originally these were 1x3s, but of course 1x3s, when you buy them in the store, actually they're not 1 inch. It's 3/4 inch by 2.5. So you'll buy some of those, and then for these 3 supports, you're going to trim them down to that 1 3/4 inch. And then of course they're going to be cut to 26 and 1/4 inch in length. And so if you don't have the saws or the tools to cut majority of this, you could probably get the guys, an employee at either Lowe's or Home Depot, to make these cuts for you. So if you buy the 3/4 inch casting or the 3/4 inch plywood, see if there's an employee there that can actually cut that to these dimensions for this piece here, and then also for these frame support pieces, and even the storage hatch as well. The dimensions on that are 26 by 9.5 inches. And so once you get all the parts, once you get all the parts cut out from this cut list, then you can start assembling it. What I did is I put the frame together first, and after I put the frame together, I actually put it in the tracks, the chair tracks right here. And then so after I set the frame in, I put the wood on top and kind of lined everything up how I wanted to, and then I screwed the plywood, the deck, down to the frame. And before y'all do this, before you make any of the cuts, I would go on ahead and make sure that the measurements are going to be the same for your boat, because I don't know, I've never compared to any other Bass Raiders to see if the measurements would work. Some of these measurements might vary boat to boat depending on the manufacturer, when they're making these. So I would recommend, before y'all go out and buy anything and make any cuts, I would make sure that these measurements are going to work for your boat too. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video. When I put this frame on here, I put this frame all the way up, all the way forward as far as it would go, and then put the casting deck on there, and I lined it up with about where this little taper right here drops off. And the reason that these are cut a little bit shorter is to accommodate for this this little raise right here. So after you have the frame and the casting deck secured to each other, you're going to want to put the rod holders on. And how I went about doing this is I cut 6 of these PVC pipes. This is 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and you want to measure out to 30.5 inches. Let's see if we can do this. Got this other one over here. So you're going to want to measure out 30.5 inches. So right there. And then after you get that mark, you're going to want to take one of these and actually cut at a 45-degree angle like this. And so that's going to give you that cut. That way you have that taper for when you're putting your rods back in, and it'll go in nice and smooth. And so you're going to want 6 of those. And let's put this back in here. And so just to kind of explain this, these little marks right here are indicators for where you're going to put the first round of screws for the rod holders. So you're going to go over 1.5 inches here, and then you're going to go 4.5 inches this way, and that's where your first screw hole will go. And then basically what I did from there is I took these little C-clamps, started the screw there, put the rods in, put the rod holders in, and then just put the next screw in. And then if y'all see how I just line these up to where I just kind of overlap these to where that distance was the same, and then that seemed to work out really well. And then the rod stops here, that's what this is. It's 5 3/4 inch long, and then 7/8 inch tall. And so I just glued and I think I used a few nails to secure that. And so after you have all this together and you have the hatch built, let's talk about the hatch actually. So the storage hatch is 26 by 9.5. And so what I did for this is after I put the casting deck up here, I actually took a piece of cardboard and put the cardboard to where it was laid up flat and covered all of this. And then I just took a pencil and I traced this edge right here to get that distance, or that shape of it. And I'm also going to link in the description a cut, this shape right here, this little riser piece that I used to where it would be somewhat level. It's not perfectly level, but I just used, I think it was either 2 or 3 pieces of this 3/4 inch wood, and I cut out the shape. I cut out the shape using a bandsaw actually, and then stacked 3 pieces of wood, glued them together, and then screwed them to where it held it tight. And then after it dried, I took the screw out, and then to get the right thickness, I actually trimmed some off using a table saw. So I definitely think this could be done a little bit easier. I probably made this way more complicated than it needed to be. But anyways, I'll put the link in the description for this shape, so y'all can, if y'all wanted to use this, you can. But you're definitely going to want to have something here to accommodate the space between where the casting deck rests. That way this hinge doesn't drop down too much. That'll keep it somewhat level. The hinge is just a piano hinge that I got from Lowe's, and then I cut it down using a saw, and it goes pretty much the whole length of this hatch where the hinge part is. Let's see. And then after I've made all the pieces, I went ahead and put some indoor-outdoor carpet on it. It was a little tedious doing that, but I managed to get it done. So basically what I did is I just I measured out the size that I needed, and then, you know, of course I left some overhang, and, you know, just started one side at a time using carpet glue. And, you know, on the top portion of the casting deck, I put a lot of carpet glue down, spread it out, and put the carpet on there, and then just started trimming everything up, and then used the staple gun to secure all of the carpet. And then, of course, for the seat pedestal, you know what, let me go ahead and pause the video here, and I'm going to flip this thing back over. Okay, for the seat pedestal base, basically what I did is I just brought it all the way to as far back as I could go this way, and I just used a pencil to figure out where the center was, and cut out I used a doorknob jig and cut the big hole, and then actually had to use a jigsaw to open it up a little bit more for this to fit. And so that's how I did that. For the Troll King, what I did here is I used these like these bathroom mirror stays that you can find at a hardware store, and I mounted these here. I just picked a spot where I wanted the trolling motor, and just basically screw those in to where all I'd have to do is just slide this in place, just like so, and then that way if I ever want to, you know, take this off on the road, I can, but for the most part I leave this on here. And then I just have these holes here that I can push this down, and then tighten it up with the wing nuts underneath here. So that's how that works. Let's see what else. So all this stuff, you know, the supplies, the little C-clamps, the Troll King, the hinge, I'm going to try to find links to all of this for you guys. That way you're not having to hunt for it or search for it. You can just look it up, and if you want to, you know, either buy it through that link or go to the store and find it. That way it's, you know, hopefully it'll save y'all some time. All right, so what I used to secure the casting deck to the boat itself was some of these latch screws. They're 1 5/8 inch, and what I like about these is they kind of have like a little washer built into them, and I only used 4 of these, pretty much at the corners right here, at the 4 corners, 2 on this side and then 2 on the other side to actually secure this down, and it's worked great. They've held up. I haven't had any issues with it coming loose, and so that's how I secured that. All right, so there you have it. That's how I made the casting deck. There's your measurements. I hope this helps you all with your casting deck build. I hope it made sense. If it didn't, just let me know, and I'll try to help you out as much as I can. All the best. Thanks.